This is Robbie Banfitch, who is the writer, director, and also stars in the new movie, The Outwaters, which we got a chance to check out just recently, and we really loved it. So we're excited to talk with you.
Thank you. I am glad that you liked it.
Yeah, so first off, I really want to say when I watched the trailer, I love that there was like nothing that let me know what I was about to get into, which is something you don't really see a lot today with a lot of movies and their trailers. So I just love that it was just pure vibes with it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that Cinedigm, Screenbox, etc. let me handle the trailer stuff. Of course, I took some feedback from them, but I really appreciate and am grateful that I was able to do the trailers because I hate most trailers. I mean, I may love a trailer, watch it over and over, but I still hate it if it gives too much away. So I thought this was a good opportunity for me to be able to not give too much away and just, so
Yeah,
you liked it. I think yeah, I'm excited about. I also love like editing trailers, so it was also just kind of fun.
Yeah, that's definitely something. So many trailers nowadays do give away a lot of the story, but yours definitely just gave the vibes of what we're getting into, and it didn't even scratch the surface, I think, of what we eventually saw with the movie. So it was really
It's
good.
fun to go in blind to things.
I agree. So on our channel, we like to talk a lot about horror. So I guess we just want to start getting to know you by if you could give us two horror movies that you think would define you.
Define me. Jaws, it's my first favorite movie, continues to be my favorite movie. So that very much like from a young age would it's where I got a lot of my love for film from. And Candyman, the original
Yeah.
Candyman, is my favorite horror movie because Jaws is horror, but it's also a little bit adventure drama.
Yeah.
Candyman's just always been such a piece of art to me. So those two.
Yeah, I could definitely see after watching your movie, those inspirations in your movie, without giving anything away, especially just like Candyman 2, just a lot of pieces in that in your film that were just like uh photographs on their own, honestly, in my opinion, just beautiful to look at in the scenery as well.
Thank you. I mean, I don't know when the last time you saw Candyman was, but it's just holds up so beautifully, and the Philip Glass score and Virginia Madsen, like it's just wonderful.
No, yeah, definitely. So I guess with that, I want to ask, with your film, as we see in the trailer, it is set in the desert. Was that something you always wanted to do, is make a film out in the desert, or did it just come up as you were planning the idea for the movie?
I think this one may have just arose, whatever, while I was thinking of the idea for Outwaters. I'm not sure exactly why. I know that I personally like the desert, and I love the original Hills Have Eyes and
Yeah.
like that vibe and the setting. So probably came from like watching the Hills Have Eyes a lot and that being ingrained as like, oh, I want to make a movie out in the desert like that, you know.
Yeah, that's definitely something that first attracted me to see this film, was that usually you have a movie set in like a spooky house or the forest, but I feel like the desert is something that's not really touched upon, especially nowadays. So I really did like that about it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's fun to go to new places. It's fun to see not just the woods, although
Yeah,
the next movie takes place in the woods, but you know what I mean.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So we did have some of our one of our viewers wanted to ask this question to you, and that was, what was the inspiration behind the Outwaters?
It came from the title. Uh, Outlands is one of my favorite words, and there's a movie called Outland with Sean Connery, and I probably had watched that recently and was thinking about the word Outland and how beautiful the font is on the poster of Outland, and then I thought
Yeah,
Outwaters would be a cool word if it were a real word, and I was like, wow, that would be like a great film title. And then so I was like, well, I have to make a movie called The Outwaters. It's just like such a good title. I can't let it go to waste or let somebody else get it.
that's true.
So then images came from that, and then I built upon the images, and the story came from the images, and just kept exploring. So, like the definition of the word outlands, which is like far reaches or like remote or distant places or territories, like Outwaters is very much like a thing I explored. what the meaning might be, and that's how I found the movie.
That's awesome. Definitely, yeah. The Outwaters was something I hadn't heard, so it definitely was another thing that drew me into the movie. So it worked.
There's a bunch of people with the apparently, I learned this after I made the movie, but there's Outwater is a last name, so I do
Oh,
feel a little bad for all the people with the
yeah,
last name Outwater, especially Edwin Outwater, who's like a, um, conductor and, like or musician, and we made friends on Twitter due to him starting to see notifications about his last name. So, hey, Edwin.
yeah. Especially if you Google and it'll just come up with them.
Mhm.
But yeah, that actually brings me to my other question. You talked about him being a composer and all that was the sound in this was definitely something that I wasn't expecting. And I feel like your imagery along with the sound was terrifying. So when you went into making this, was that something you were thinking about a lot was sound, or did it just come as you were making it?
That came basically, like, after I started editing. I, yeah, I just there was probably a scene that was like, "Oh, I feel like I need to add something to this to spice it up a little bit." And then I was like, "Whoa, I have
Yeah.
this, like, big canvas to paint with because of all of the darkness." And so and then it was like editing the sound, and then I would go out and shoot more things visually to go with new sounds, and, yeah, I was trying to make sounds that I've never heard before, so
Yeah, they definitely added a lot to it, and it's one of the films I think that really used it so well. So really good stuff right there.
think
Um, and also another question I did have was the mules. Was that something you thought about, or did that just happen randomly?
happened randomly, and, luckily, I was pushed to film them because I was in a kinda grumpy mood and didn't wanna film them because I was didn't feel like filming, but luckily my friend was like, "You have to go film them," so I did, and once I start recording, I'm really into it, but, yeah, no, but as we stumbled upon them and as I started shooting, I was already immediately, like, thinking of how they could be incorporated into the story in real time. So that's why even though we ran into them and I only maybe had 10 minutes with them, while I was filming them, I was incorporating them into different parts of the story, which is why you're able to get, like, different shots and why it does make sense that they keep appearing and how they're shot. So I was just writing them into the movie in real time.
Yeah, they definitely like elevated that scene they were in. Like they were like very majestic feeling.
Oh,
Um,
they like, oh, thank God. Like, I can't imagine the movie without the donkeys or whatever they are, wild burros. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know donkey or mule, but they were a great piece added. So I think your friend definitely had the right idea there.
Yes, he definitely did.
Okay, and also like now that with the Outwaters out, what is like the next thing for you? Do you think?
I have a feature film that's going to premiere at a festival next month. I shot it while editing The Outwaters, so it's called Tinsman Road, and, yeah, it's a lot different, so, you know, I'm excited for people to see it, something different that I did. But that'll be coming out in a festival capacity next month.
Okay, is that like another horror or is that another genre you're trying to do as well?
You would definitely find it on the horror shelf at a video store. It's a lot more mystery drama though than The Outwaters is. So there's mystery drama with horror. It's a little bit more straightforward than The Outwaters, more straightforward storytelling, but it's hopefully still artful and its own unique thing.
Okay, we'll definitely be on the lookout for that then.
Cool.
So yeah, that was my final question for you. With the Outwaters out now, where can people find you to keep up with you about what's next with the Outwaters and you yourself in your career?
You can follow the Outwaters on Twitter or Instagram. Instagram, I try to curate some like good music alongside the stories. So that's
Yeah.
at the Outwaters on Twitter or Instagram. I plan on keeping the Twitter for Outwaters going well beyond the release date so that it can champion other big and small horror movies. And then me personally, like you know, you can follow me on Twitter if you want, but I tweet a lot about like housewife stuff. So yeah,
It's always good to have your Twitter diversified, I feel.
at Robbie Banfitch.
Yeah, we'll definitely link that below in our description for everybody to find you. And I want to thank you for taking the time answering our questions, and we look forward to seeing this movie again. I think we want to have another rewatch on the big screen just to really get the sound and everything.
Well, I just saw it on the biggest screen I've ever seen on. Try to go to like a theater that and, you know, obviously there's limited options, but
Yeah.
like try to see it on a really big screen. That was kind of crazy even for me to see it for the first time on like a big screen.
Yeah, that was our first reaction after watching. It was like, we got to go see this again, like the best, like biggest picture we can find.
See it with that 5.1 surround.
That was Robbie Banfitch, director, writer, and star of the Outwaters, which you can check out in theaters right now and should be coming to streaming.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for this.